Today, we're going to try to recreate the best tasting pepper sauce I've ever ate in my entire life. We're going to do it out of all these peppers that I've been growing in pots. But before we get started, let's go on outside and let me show you my potted peppers and explain to you what varieties I have here. All right, let's go. Behind me right here is my pepper garden. I started all these peppers in pots about this time last year. So these pepper plants are over a year old. Now, most of the ones that I have here are not generally the hot peppers. I do have one over here. I've got Apocalypse Scorpion right here, and that big, with those red peppers on it. Now, I didn't order that. That was sent as a free gift. I figured I would go ahead and start one just for fun, but I wanted to keep it in a small pot because I knew I wasn't going to be eating very many of those. But let's start here in the front and let me tell you what we have. All right, I've already picked all these peppers, a large amount of the peppers off. That one just fell. This is habanada. This is a heatless habanero. You can pick this one right off, eat it. It's not going to burn you up. No worries about that. Now, right over here with those yellow peppers, Trinidad Perfume. This is another one that is heatless. No heat. You can just pick that right off the plant and eat those. Right here, these are Rainforest. This is a really good tasting pepper. Let's see if I got one here to show you. This is a very poor example. They usually get a little bit bigger than this, but this one just fell off. I've already picked that one clean because those make really good sauces because they're not generally that hot. Over here, Peppadew. This is a Sugar Rush variety, but they call it a dew because it looks like the Peppadew that you can order, but that is a peach flavored variety. I didn't add any of these in. If I need a little bit more consistency of peppers, I could come pick some of these in and put those in there. Over here is my purples and my reds, cayenne peppers. It's loaded out. I really need to do something with those. It's because those are so hot, I really didn't want to put those into the sauce. Right here is our Sugar Rush Peach, a peach flavored, very high sugar content pepper plant, and those are really good. Bahamian goat pepper right down here. Let's see, you get right on there, you can see the Bahamian goat pepper right there. That is a really good flavor, and I've got a bunch of peppers that need to be pulled off there because they went bad. And we've put one or two of these into the mix today. They're a little hot, but they're not insane hot. There's that Apocalypse Scorpion. We didn't put any of those in here. Now this is one of my favorites. This is Venezuelan Tiger. A good seasoning pepper. That one's turning. That one's about turn. I like the way they look whenever they get like this. But that is some good looking peppers and good sized peppers when they fully mature also. We've got some of those in there. Over here we have Grenadine seasoning pepper. Those yellow peppers you see right here. That's a good looking pepper, not all that hot, just spicy, mildly spicy. You can eat this pepper straight off and it won't burn you up too bad. It's not really that hot. Over here, this is St. Lucia. This is another good pepper. Highly underrated. Not a lot of people talk about this pepper. Good flavor. This bush has been a little behind the power curve. Small. I've kept it in a smaller pot, and then recently I've potted this one up into this larger pot. Now this is one of my favorites. This is Lemon Drop, Ahi Lemon Drop. Really good, intense citrus flavor. I've put a few of these in that mix, not too many because these are a little on the spicy side. And I love eating these with my meals. Great flavor. Then I got one more that I want to show you. This is Cane Star Lemon Starburst. This just became available on the market. Before this year, you could only get these seeds if they were given to you. So this is a highly sought after, but this is probably the best tasting pepper I have out of my entire collection. Absolutely wonderful flavor, mild heat, not too spicy. And then I got one more that I want to show you. I forgot to harvest peppers off this one, but this is a really good pepper. This is a starfish pepper over here. I put it over here separate because it needed a little extra water, so I put it in that pot down there. But those nice peppers are so good. I'm going to pick a few of these. I'm going to put these into the pepper sauce today. Those are some really good flavored peppers. All right, let's go on back inside. First thing we're going to do is we're going to cut these stems off, cut them in half, and we're going to get them into the smokehouse and put a nice couple hours smoke on these things, and probably about a 225 degree temperature, and kind of cook them down like that for a few hours. All right, so there's the Bahamian goat pepper right there. That's a good flavor, moderately hot. You can eat this with meals, but you probably want to eat it with food and not just by itself if you're not used to the high heat. So this one will burn you up. But I don't have any of the peppers in here that are like a Carolina Reaper or ghost pepper or anything like that. None of these peppers are that level of hot. Now you saw me take the seeds out of that first pepper, and that's because that pepper is a little bit hotter than the rest of them, and I really didn't want to get those hot seeds mixed in, so I just elected to remove the seeds out of those, but probably going to leave most of the seeds in the rest of these peppers. All right, we got the peppers cut up. There's what they look like. Nice array of colors there, aren't they beautiful? Absolutely beautiful. This recipe was one that I picked up from David the Good. I went over to visit with him, and he handed me a jar of his hot sauce, and he called it Smokers, I guess because they smoked it. And I said, that's absolutely wonderful. Here, he says, here, take one jar home. And I have almost went through the entire jar. I love it. And I'd like to have some more of it, so I'm going to try to recreate this recipe. He posted this recipe on his website. The Survival Gardener is the name of his website. And if you look on there, you can find this recipe, which is where I pulled this one down from. So now let's go ahead on out to the smokehouse and get the smokehouse going. And let's get these under heavy smoke for a little while. Let's go. All right, we're out here in our outdoor kitchen, and right behind me is a smokehouse. I built the smokehouse about 6 years ago out of plywood. And yes, you can build a smokehouse out of plywood without fear of it catching fire, as long as you keep the temperature below 250 degrees. Perfectly safe. Lots of people have done it. But if you're curious about the smokehouse I built here, I'll show it to you real quick. Well, first off, it smells good. It smells like a smokehouse. It's 7 foot tall, made out of 1/4-inch plywood. And right in the very bottom down there, I don't know if you can see it, I've got a propane burner. Underneath the propane burner, I have this metal tray that I put a smoke tube on, and this catches the ashes. That way it doesn't, some hot smoldering smoke tube is not sitting directly on plywood. Right over here I've got my smoke pellets, I've got my smoke tube. I'll light my smoke tube, set it on there. I'll light my propane burner, and then right up here in the top is where I put my trays of meat. In this case today we're going to be putting peppers in our smokehouse. So one of the things I'll go ahead and do is I'll go ahead and light my smoke tube. See right in there I've got all my smoke pellets. See them moving around. At the front of those smoke pellets I'll just go ahead and light a fire. This will usually take a minute or two to get those pellets lit. Just let that burn for a minute, let that get hot and let it get going. All right, in goes the smoke. Go ahead and light my propane. So essentially what we have down in there is just a barely lit flame. See, I've got smoke rising up. We take our peppers. That's going to need something to sit on. All right, there we go. Peppers are placed. Go ahead and give that a few hours. That'll probably take about 20 minutes to come up to proper temperature. One of the things I do is I take my temperature probe here. Got a little hole just big enough. Stick my temperature probe in. And then I just set this off to the side. And then we can monitor our temperature. And then this smoke hole up here lets a little trickle of smoke out and a little bit of heat out so that we get movement through the cabinet. All right, guys, We'll see what it looks like in a couple hours. All right, it's been exactly 4 hours. We've been running about 200 degrees temperature inside the smokehouse. Let's go ahead and crack it open and let's see how it was doing. It's about 8 o'clock at night. I wanted to go ahead and get this this done before bedtime. I don't want to be up all night trying to make pepper sauce. I need to put a handle on there. All right, that looks pretty good. Let me turn this propane off. All right, those are smoked peppers. That's how they look. They look pretty good. Not dry completely, and they're not completely brown from the smoke, but all in all, they look good. Go ahead and take them on inside and get processing. All right, so the next step is to add the peppers. Go ahead and put those into our blender. That was quite a bit more than I expected to be in there. Now for added meat and texture, we're going to add some of these heirloom tomatoes that I had fresh out of the garden. They had some spots on them, so we're going to go ahead and incorporate these. I cut the spots off, took the skins off. We're going to dump those right on in there too. Now we got our tablespoon, and I got some C90 sea salt in this cup here from this big bag that I got out in the garage. We're going to put about a tablespoon of sea salt in there. And I've got a sugar alternative, monk fruit. We're going to put about a tablespoon of monk fruit in there. I like monk fruit because monk fruit doesn't change the flavor like some of the other sugar substitutes do. We're going to add in some garlic powder. And we'll add in some onion powder. Or if you had fresh onions, that'd be fine too. Which I didn't think about that. We could have put some fresh onions in there and that'd have been really good. All right, now the next step is we're going to top up with some vinegar. I'd like to use apple cider vinegar, but this happened to be all that we had in the cabinet, so we're going to put the rest of this in here. And then we're going to add some white vinegar. And we're going to see what that gives us. Start there. We're going to give it a little pulse. Now that looks pretty good. Good rich color there. See how good that looks? Now, I think that's a good consistency. That's nice and thick. I don't want it to be any more watered down than that. We'll go ahead and get some jars out. We're going to put these in the canner, and we're going to get some of this canned up. All right, it's the next morning. We took our pepper sauce out. You can see the color of that. It didn't brown up like I thought it was going to brown up, but I do have to say that it's a bit watery, a little more watery than I would care for. So we may want to consider cooking this down to get it to the right consistency, then putting it in jars. I think might do that next time just to make sure that I'm where I want it. Now, I had these lids put on pretty tight. I put them in the pressure canner, brought them up to 15 pounds of pressure. When I took it out, I had the rings were no longer tight on here, so they worked themselves loose. And I lost a little bit of volume in these. But all in all, I'm happy with the flavor. It's got a nice smoky flavor, good heat. So you're not going to use very much of this to season up your food. Although it has good heat, it's not the stupid hot heat that's going to set your head on fire from eating it on some tacos. Like I said, you can go to find this recipe at The Survival Gardener with David the Good. He's the one that posted it up. And I believe that the jar he gave me, he said that his daughter Daisy Good helped him make that jar. So whatever he did to make that, I think it still tastes better than what I did here. So I want to give this another shot when we get another batch of peppers until I get it more like what he got. But I really like this recipe, and I think this is how I'm going to make my hot sauce from now on. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, follow us along. And don't forget, keep growing, keep building, and always keep adventuring. And together, perform and famous. See you next time.